Discover the incredible truth. After my daughter's passing, 35M inheritance exposed abandoned family secrets. Tom stood alone in his garage, the faint scent of motor oil and warm metal a stark contrast to the emptiness that consumed him. Emily, his vibrant daughter, had always brightened his world. A soft laugh, an unwavering smile, and a heart that overflowed with compassion. Now, that light was extinguished. The news of her passing felt like a cruel twist of fate. She was so close to launching her non-profit to uplift underprivileged youth, a dream that now lay shattered, just like his heart. Days turned into weeks, but the ache never dulled. Linda, his wife, moved around like a ghost, harboring her own grief but also a budding resentment. Why did she have to dream so big? Tom overheard her mumble one night, tears brimming in her eyes. He wished he could shield her from the pain, but it was as if Emily's death had morphed their once vibrant home into a mausoleum of unspoken anguish. Then, life flipped on its head. A lawyer's letter arrived, presenting an inheritance amounting to $35 million from a grandfather Tom hardly knew. The news spread through their quaint suburban town like wildfire. Neighbors gathered in whispers outside their homes, exchanging questions laced with intrigue and judgment. Tom was always proud of their simple life, tinkering with engines, fixing old cars, taking pride in hard work rather than material wealth. Now, he felt shame, feeling the sting of others' thoughts gnawing at his conscience. Why him? Linda's voice seethed, the tension pulsating between them. Everything they built through diligence now seemed at risk. While he imagined fulfilling Emily's dream, giving her vision the wings it needed, she widened her eyes in fear. This kind of money changes people, Tom. We've always thrived on determination, not wealth. The word struck him hard, ringing in a shocking harmony with the unspoken judgment of their neighbors. Before he could grasp the enormity of the situation, more chaos unfurled. A distant relative appeared, claiming rightful access to the inheritance. Tom felt a fire ignite inside him. How dare this stranger preying on his family's tragedy? Guilt bubbled alongside indignation. As he fought to protect what Emily had envisioned, his heart sank deeper into disarray. Would they lose their family's unity over a piece of paper that bore a sum too immense to imagine? Just as despair threatened to consume him, a glimmer of hope arrived. A video surfaced that Emily had recorded just before her passing. It was raw, unfiltered love, her thoughts spilling out about uplifting others, echoing her passion and dreams. The clip resonated deeply, even seeping into the hearts of every neighbor that had cast judgment upon Tom and Linda. In the ensuing turmoil, Tom yearned to draw his family together, navigate the swirling tides of grief and potential betrayal. With each tug from the community, each clash with Linda, he felt torn. How would he honor his daughter's legacy while wrestling with the looming shadows of greed and hurt? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Would you reforge the bonds of family, transforming loss into purpose, or succumb to the tidal wave of greed shortly to crash inside the walls of their home? As whispers of Emily's legacy continued to ripple through the town, darkness loomed overhead. Tom was left standing on the precipice of realization. Could the path to healing not only preserve but elevate the life and dreams of his beloved daughter? Tom's mind raced. The video played on a loop in his thoughts, a vivid reminder of Emily's vision. He could almost hear her voice, brimming with hope, fill the silence that now enveloped his home. Each time he closed his eyes, he could see her bright smile, the same one she wore when she shared her dreams with him, but reality crashed into his thoughts when he glanced at Linda. She sat at their kitchen table, her face obscured by shadows, shoulders slumped. The weight of uncertainty made the room feel smaller, suffocating. Moments like this reminded Tom that grief had become as much a part of their lives as love had been. Tom, Linda's voice broke through the silence, shaky and quiet. What do we even do now? His heart sank. The question was heavy, like a stone resting on his chest. The possibilities of the inheritance loomed over them both like an indifferent storm cloud, ready to unleash havoc at any moment. He wanted to tell her they could turn it all around, that they could build something meaningful, something that would honor Emily's dream. Silence hung between them before he finally spoke. We could start the foundation, just like she wanted. Linda shot him a glare, confusion tight across her brow. You think it's that simple? What if the money changes everything? What if the relatives come after us? We'll fight. We can fight together, Tom replied, though doubt crept into his own heart. He imagined the courtroom battles, the demands, and the betrayal from those who had no real connection to Emily. Fighting feels futile. She muttered, clutching the coffee mug as if it could provide her comfort. The light from the window highlighted the dark circles under her eyes. What if we end up losing ourselves, losing each other? Her words struck him, hard. Could he juggle the inheritance and keep his family from splintering? Thoughts of Emily's light guided him, but the shadows of doubt loomed larger. He reached across the table, clasping her hand with a tenderness he hoped would soothe the fears swirling in both their hearts. You know how she loved the kids at the shelter, how she wanted to change lives. His voice came out steady, even. I want to make her proud. Linda's eyes softened, but then hardened again, as if barricading herself against the pain of a decision she couldn't bear. What if it's too late for that? Tom watched as a tear slipped down her cheek, creating a path through the grime of grief. He wiped it away with his thumb, his heart faltering. Emily's dreams didn't die with her. They're still alive. As if in response, the video on his phone buzzed, a reminder blinking at them both. It was a call from Karen, a colleague of Emily's from the nonprofit world. Without thinking, he answered it, the nostalgic warmth of Emily flooding back in waves as he spoke. Tom. Came Karen's lively voice. I just saw the video. It's incredible. And the community, everyone wants to help build the foundation. This could really take off. You'll need help. Are you in? For a moment, Tom felt the rush of hope burst through him. He looked at Linda, her eyes suddenly brightening, reflecting something he hadn't seen in weeks: possibility. Yeah, we're in, he replied, more resolute than he felt. But in the corners of his mind, the shadows were still waiting, persistent. Even as they spoke, he could sense the looming presence of his distant relative watching them from the sidelines, ready to strike. As the conversation continued, Tom felt his gaze flicker toward Linda, who was slowly coming back to life, lighting up as Karen eagerly discussed plans and strategies. But he knew. The battle was just beginning, and they were still teetering on unsure ground that he ended the call, and for the first time in a long while, Tom felt the edges of grief start to soften. Perhaps they could honor Emily together, but first, they had to face the storm brewing outside. As night fell, tension filled the air. Could love overcome the raging waves of turmoil? Or would the burden of the inheritance shatter everything they still had? He knew they needed one last push to truly honor Emily, but would it cost him everything? The kitchen felt different now, charged with a mix of anticipation and fear. Tom's thoughts raced and his heart quickened at the prospect of all they could do. Emily's foundation, her dreams were alive if they were willing to fight for them. As the darkness settled outside, Linda took a deep breath, her fingers still intertwined with his. What do we do first? She asked, her voice steadier now. Tom could see the flicker of determination in her eyes. We meet with Karen and gather a team. We need to plan. If we do this, we'll need the right people by our side. Linda nodded, and he could feel a sense of solidarity starting to build between them. They could weave their grief into something greater. I'll call a few people from the community, Linda said, her voice imbuing a newfound strength. The ones Emily worked with at the shelter. They'll understand how important this is. As they began to brainstorm, ideas poured out like a rushing river. They spoke about grants, potential projects for children, community outreach, and the vision that Emily had for the foundation. Each idea felt like a step closer to realizing something beautiful in the midst of pain, but in the back of Tom's mind lingered the thought of their relatives. What would they think? Would they support them or would they turn on them, expecting a slice of the inheritance? The sparkle of hope was dimmed slightly by that looming dread. Later that night, they found themselves at the dining table surrounded by papers, sketches, and plans, creating a new vision. The air was thick with energy. What if we create a community center that honors Emily's style? Tom suggested. A place for kids to learn, grow, and dream just like she did. Linda looked off into the distance, her gaze drifting as if she could see what they were discussing already manifesting. That could be incredible, Tom, she replied, excitement bubbling in her voice. Suddenly, the phone rang again, shattering their fervent creative bubble. Tom instinctively glanced at the number. It was their lawyer. His gut twisted. "This isn't a good time," he mumbled, skipping the call. But Linda noticed. "What if it's important?" "It could be related to the inheritance," she encouraged, her face serious. Tom hesitated, the weight of his decision pressing down on him. He took a deep breath, fighting the urge to ignore it. "Okay, fine." He hit the redial button and soon heard the crisp voice of their lawyer. "Tom, we need to discuss the estate. There are complications starting to arise. It's crucial for you both to come in." The gravity in her tone sent a jolt through Tom. "Complications?" he echoed, hoping it was nothing too serious. "What do you mean?" "I can't say everything over the phone," she replied, her voice almost grave. "But I really think you should prepare yourselves." Tom glanced at Linda, whose face had grown pale. They both knew what preparing meant and its implications. It was not just about the money, it was about the dream they were desperately trying to keep alive. "I'll be there," he said, hanging up. Linda's breath came in shallow bursts. "What do we do if they want to take this away from us?" Tom stood up, a wave of protectiveness washing over him. "They can't take our memories, and they can't erase Emily's dreams. We need to get ready for whatever comes next. Together." He wrapped his arms around her, trying to channel the calm before a storm. They had already stepped onto a path that would challenge them, but the real fight was yet to come. As they held each other, a thought echoed through Tom's heart: was their love and shared vision strong enough to weather the storm? The clock ticked ominously, shadows danced around the room, and they knew the next chapter of their story was about to unfold under the harsh light of reality. What revelations awaited them at the lawyer's office, and would they be ready to face the repercussions of the inheritance? Tom and Linda arrived at the law office the next morning, hearts pounding with anxiety. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting stark shadows on the polished floor. They exchanged nervous glances, each wondering just how much was at stake. As they walked into the conference room, Karen was already there, her face serious as she looked up from a stack of documents. "Thank you for coming," she said, maintaining a businesslike tone. "This is delicate." Tom cleared his throat, trying to suppress the fear creeping in. "What is going on?" "Let me explain," Karen began, her fingers fumbling with the papers. "The will had some unexpected stipulations that might affect your plans for Emily's foundation." "Unexpected? What do you mean?" Linda's voice was trembling slightly, but she held her ground. Karen took a deep breath. "Emily had a trust, and it has specific instructions. It was set up to not just protect her interests but also to support certain charitable causes. The beneficiaries are varied and span several organizations." Confusion clouded Tom's understanding. "Are we not the primary beneficiaries?" "No, not entirely," Karen replied gently. "Yes, you are included, but there are conditions. You must fulfill certain criteria to maintain access to the funds. The foundation will need to align with Emily's vision in a very particular way." Linda's expression hardened. "What does that mean for us?" Are we supposed to recreate everything she dreamed of to keep the money? Not just recreate, Karen emphasized, sitting forward. You need to establish programs that directly reflect her values and the causes she cared about. It's more than just a financial investment, it's about legacy and commitment. A wave of frustration washed over Tom. Why didn't she tell us that? It feels like a trap. Emily wanted to safeguard her vision, Karen said softly. She was passionate about these causes and believed strongly that they could change lives. She didn't want the money to be misused or treated lightly. Linda's face crumpled as realization hit. So, it's not just about keeping the money, it's about doing the right thing. Tom's heart sank. They wanted to honor Emily, but now it felt like an enormous weight on their shoulders. What if we can't meet their expectations? Then the funds may be redirected, Karen replied. To make things more complicated, the other beneficiaries have their own plans. Some are very committed to Emily's vision. Are you saying they could oppose us? Tom asked, his voice rising. Karen nodded slowly. Yes, you will have competition. If they believe that their projects better align with Emily's vision, they might fight for control of the trust funds. Linda's grip on the table tightened. It's not just about the money then. It's a fight for what she stood for. Tom felt a surge of determination rising within him. We can't let that happen. We can't lose her dreams. Karen's gaze softened. You have the strength to honor Emily. It's going to be difficult, and you may face challenges, but if you keep her vision alive, you can make an impact. As they left the office, Tom and Linda felt an unwavering strength building between them. But there was tension, too. They had to gather their forces and unite the community behind them before it was too late. Are we ready for this? Linda asked quietly as they stepped back onto the bustling street. Tom took her hand firmly. We don't have a choice. This is about more than just money, it's about Emily's legacy. And we will not back down. But as they moved forward, Tom couldn't ignore the gnawing doubt inside him. How fiercely would the other beneficiaries fight? What lengths would they go to claim their piece of Emily's legacy? The battle was just beginning, and so was the quest to honor a love that remained, now woven deeper into the mission of a foundation born from grief. What alliances would they need to forge, and who would stand with them when the truth of Emily's legacy was put to the ultimate test? Tom and Linda stepped onto the crowded street, their hearts still racing from the shocking revelations. The morning was bright, but the warm sun felt like a harsh spotlight on their shoulders. They walked hand in hand, feeling both a bond of love and the weight of uncertainty. As they navigated through the hustle of people passing by, Tom's mind raced with possibilities. First things first, he said, breaking the silence. We need to figure out exactly what Emily envisioned for her foundation. We can't just guess at it. Linda nodded, her brow furrowed. We should talk to her friends, her allies in the charity world. Maybe they can give us some insights into what she was passionate about. Good idea, Tom replied. The last thing we want is to stray from her vision. We need to gather info about the other beneficiaries to see if they have a plan in place. Suddenly, Linda's pace slowed. What if they try to sabotage us? She asked, a tremor in her voice. What if they twist Emily's dreams into something we disagree with just to spite us? Tom halted, turning to face her. Fear flickered in her eyes, and he felt a rush of determination. We won't let that happen. Emily trusted us. We will safeguard her legacy, no matter what. A gust of wind blew, and with it came a sense of unexpected calm. As they walked further along the street, they passed a community center. Memories flooded Tom's mind. Emily had often volunteered there. Her laughter echoed still, a sound he'd never forget. What about starting here? He suggested, gesturing towards the building. We can reach out to the staff. They might know what programs Emily admired. Linda smiled weakly, appreciating the effort to connect with Emily's past. They probably have some ideas about her vision. They made their way inside, the familiarity of the center enveloping them. As they approached the front desk, a kind-faced woman with silver hair looked up. "Can I help you?" "Hi, we were looking for information on Emily Dawson," Tom said, unsure if he should mention the trust right away. "She was involved here, and we want to honor her work." The woman's eyes softened. "Emily was a wonderful person. We miss her dearly. What are you working on?" Tom exchanged a glance with Linda before replying. "She set up a foundation, and we want to ensure we follow her vision. Any insights would be incredibly helpful." "Of course." The woman leaned closer, her voice filled with warmth. "Let me gather some of her closest friends. They'll want to help you." As she walked away, Tom felt a spark of hope igniting within him. Could this place be a beacon of support? Would Emily's friends rally behind them in this fight? Minutes later, a small group of familiar faces entered, and one woman stepped forward, her voice filled with emotion. "We were just talking about how badly we want to keep Emily's legacy alive." The atmosphere shifted. Suddenly, they weren't alone. They had allies, people who understood what Emily stood for. But just as conversation started, Tom's phone buzzed with a new notification. As he glanced at the screen, his heart sank. A message from one of the other beneficiaries flashed urgently. "We need to talk." This isn't going to be easy. The ground beneath him felt unsteady. This was just the beginning, but with their allies gathered, maybe they had a fighting chance. However, that message tugged at his gut. What did the other beneficiaries really want? And what were they willing to do to claim Emily's legacy? The pieces were beginning to fall into place, but the game was far from over. Tom felt a knot twist in his stomach as he stared at the message on his phone. His heart raced, and the bustling noise of the community center faded around him. He quickly tucked the phone away, trying to conceal the sudden anxiety that washed over him. He took a deep breath, focusing on the group of Emily's friends gathered in front of him, their faces filled with hope and determination. "Are you okay?" Linda's soft voice cut through his haze. Her eyes searched his, concern etched across her features. "Yeah, I just got a message from one of the beneficiaries," he confessed, his voice low. "They want to meet. They said it won't be easy." Linda's jaw tightened. "What do you think they want?" "I don't know," he admitted, running a hand through his hair. "But we need to stay focused on Emily's vision. That's what matters." The group around them had already started to discuss their plans for the foundation, but Tom felt disconnected, preoccupied by the looming confrontation. He forced himself to listen, though. Every story shared felt like a piece of Emily's spirit re-entering the room, a spark of laughter, a moment of joy. One of Emily's friends, a spirited woman named Megan, shared a touching memory that drew everyone in. "Emily once told me her dream was to set up scholarships for underprivileged students. She believed education was the key to breaking the cycle of poverty." A wave of emotion swept through the room. This was what they needed to preserve the essence of Emily's passion. Tom reached out and squeezed Linda's hand reassuringly. "We need to make sure whatever happens next stays true to what Emily wanted. We can work with this whatever it takes." Suddenly, a man entered the room, his demeanor sharply contrasting the warmth surrounding the gathering. He was tall, with an imposing presence, and the tension in the air shifted immediately when he approached. "I'm Blake," he announced without any pretense, his eyes scanning the room. "I'm here on behalf of the other beneficiaries." Murmurs rippled through the group. Tom could feel Linda tense beside him. Blake continued, "Let's cut to the chase. We're in a serious situation here, and we need to talk strategy." "Strategy?" Linda echoed, her voice tinged with skepticism. "What do you mean?" Blake crossed his arms, leaning against the wall. "Emily's estate is worth a lot more than just sentimental value. We're all entitled to a piece of it, and it's getting messy. We need to have a clear game plan." Tom felt a mix of anger and concern bubble up within him. This isn't just about money. It's about honoring Emily's legacy. I get that, Blake said, raising an eyebrow. But legacy doesn't pay the bills. We need to figure out how to protect our interests too. The tension crackled in the air, and Tom felt a wave of frustration at the selfishness surrounding him. Emily's name was being thrown around like it was just another business deal. Emily believed in community and helping others. If money is all you care about, Tom's voice shook slightly, but he pressed on, then you don't understand her at all. The group fell silent, eyes drifting from Tom to Blake, waiting for a response. Blake met Tom's gaze, his expression unreadable. You have to understand, there are real stakes here. If you want to preserve her vision, then we all need to work together. The silence between them stretched, heavy with unspoken challenges and shared grief. Tom's heart thundered in his chest. Could they really find common ground? Can we try for just one meeting? Linda finally suggested, her voice breaking the quiet. Let us sit down and talk. All of us together. For Emily. Everyone looked from Blake to Tom and back again, awkward hope flickering in the air. Tom felt the weight of the moment. This was a chance, a lifeline amidst chaos. But would it truly lead them forward, rather than deeper into conflict? All right, Blake finally said, a begrudging acceptance in his tone. But it won't be simple. Tom nodded, resolve hardening. We'll face whatever comes next, together. For Emily. As they began to make arrangements and set a date, Tom's phone buzzed once more. He hesitated before checking it. Another notification, another message that could change everything. The question loomed heavily, what else was waiting for them in the shadows? Would they be prepared for what lay ahead? The air was thick with unfinished business as Tom stared at his phone, uncertainty clawing at his insides. The screen lit up with a message from an unknown number, its urgency unmistakable. Tom, we need to talk. About the estate. It's more complicated than you think. He swallowed hard, the words feeling like a punch to the gut. The atmosphere in the room grew heavy with anticipation. His heart ached, not just from the ominous message but from the weight of his grief mixed with responsibility. Are you going to read it? Linda asked softly, her voice cutting through the storm brewing inside him. Tom shook his head. No. Not now. We need to focus. Blake moved closer, his expression shifting from irritation to something more contemplative. Look, I know this is emotional. But we're running out of time. We really need to have that meeting if we're going to keep her vision alive. Who exactly is involved in this strategy? Megan interjected, her arms crossed defensively. We need to know what we're up against. Blake sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. There are more beneficiaries than just us. Folks who might want to exploit Emily's legacy for personal gain. Why didn't you say so earlier? Tom shot back, the frustration spilling over. If we're talking about people who could undermine everything she stood for, we need to be ready. And fast. Linda squeezed Tom's hand. He appreciated her steady presence. Despite the tempest swirling around them, it anchored him. Let us use our trust in Emily as our strength, she suggested. If we stay loyal to her ideas, we can outmaneuver anyone looking to cash in. Blake nodded. That's actually sound advice. This fight isn't about greed, it's about preserving something greater than all of us. She believed in uplifting others. We just need to figure out how to do that while also protecting ourselves. The words hung in the air. A flicker of hope ran through the group, challenging the fear that had settled like a thick fog. For the first time, Tom felt a tiny spark of possibility of unity. Right, he said, feeling the resolve seep into his bones. We can set a date for a meeting tomorrow. Let us bring everyone together. We have to find common ground. Yeah, and we'll present a united front, Megan chimed in, the steel in her voice unwavering. Emily wouldn't let anyone tear us apart. Tom allowed himself a faint smile. Exactly. For Emily, let us show them that her vision can't be so easily erased. But in the back of his mind, the nagging thought of the message lingered. It was obvious they were entering a battlefield, even if they worked as one, the stakes were steep. As they finalized their plans to gather the other beneficiaries, Tom couldn't shake the feeling that something else was hovering just out of reach, waiting to strike when they least expected it. With each passing moment, anticipation built, almost suffocating. What would tomorrow bring? Would they confront the threats head-on or drown in the complexities left behind? As he slipped his phone back into his pocket, its small vibration brought another wave of anxiety. What other revelations awaited him? Was the inheritance really as simple as it seemed, or was there a darker twist lurking behind the surface? The room buzzed with renewed energy, but Tom felt an itch of unease. In the shadows, he was pretty sure something big was coming. Would they be able to handle the truth when it finally came crashing down? Tom couldn't shake the gnawing uncertainty as he lay in bed, staring at the ceiling with its cracks like jagged scars. Linda's soft breathing beside him was a comfort, but his mind roamed far beyond the safety of their shared space. Tomorrow loomed like an open wound that he recalled Emily's laugh, the way it would brighten even the dullest days. She had dedicated her life to helping others, lifting spirits with unwavering generosity. Tom's heart sank at the thought of her legacy being taken away or, worse, twisted into something she would have despised. He flipped over, pulling the blanket tighter, trying to ward off thoughts that threatened to devour him whole. As dawn's light peeked through the curtains, Tom's phone buzzed again, cutting through the silence. Reluctantly, he reached for it, hoping it was just a normal text. Instead, the unknown number lit up once more. The message was terse: "Don't let them manipulate you, Tom. The truth is hidden." His stomach clenched. Who was this? And what could they possibly know? Was it a warning, or just someone trying to sow further confusion? He stared at the screen longer than he should have, allowing an unsettling storm of paranoia to brew. Tom. Everything okay? Linda's voice pulled him back to the present. She sat up, her hair wild and her eyes still bleary from sleep. He managed a weak smile, but the creeping dread was relentless. Yeah, just a weird message. Probably nothing. Are you sure? You've got that look. She reached over, brushing his arm. Her touch was grounding, even though he felt far removed from reality. Just a lot on my mind, he said evasively, not wanting to add to her worry. They began their day, trying to focus, but the specter of their upcoming meeting hung over them like a dark cloud. Blake, Megan, and others were arriving by noon. Tom wanted to be strong, to be decisive for Emily's sake, but he couldn't shake the feeling that the ground was shifting beneath him. When they gathered in the kitchen, the air was thick with unspoken words. Blake paced, while Megan tapped her foot, impatience crossing her features. Linda poured coffee, her calm demeanor a balm for the restless energy pulsating in the room. Look, Blake finally said, leaning against the counter, we need a strategy. If there are more beneficiaries, that means more voices trying to stake a claim. We can't afford to be fragmented. I say we go in ready for a fight if we need to, Megan replied, her eyes flashing with determination. We are not giving in to anyone who tries to manipulate us. Emily deserves better. Tom nodded, but doubt crept back in. He remembered the message from the unknown number and the words haunting him. The truth had to be out there, waiting just below the surface. More than anything, he feared discovering that the family he thought he knew was tangled in a web of deception. Can we agree to stay honest? Tom finally spoke, his voice low but firm. We have to trust each other completely. No matter what happens. An uneasy silence fell as they nodded. The weight of it settled over the group like a heavy cloak. They might be united in intent, but the shadows of the past loomed large. Hours ticked by. As the sun arced across the sky, nerves tightened in Tom's chest. The meeting would be a battleground of emotions heavy with grief, hope, and the rustling whispers of betrayal. Before they could deter the looming storm, a knock on the door startled them. Tom stole a glance at the clock. It was the designated time. The moment of reckoning had arrived that he opened the door to find a figure he didn't expect, a distant family member with a knowing smile and secrets etched in their eyes. "I hope you're prepared for the truth, Tom," they said, and a chill raced down his spine. What truth was waiting, and at what cost? Tom stood frozen in the doorway, the bright afternoon light contrasting sharply with the unsettling aura of the figure before him. The woman's face was familiar yet distant, a ghost of family gatherings that felt both warm and cold now. "Catherine," he finally managed, the name slipping out like an ancient password. She stepped forward, her eyes scanning the room, taking in the tense faces around them. "Are you all ready for this?" she asked, her voice a mixture of confidence and hesitation. Tom glanced back at Linda, whose expression was a blend of concern and curiosity. Blake and Megan stood, their bodies tense like coiled springs, ready to react to whatever surprise this distant relative might unearth. "What are you talking about?" Tom asked, though he felt the knot in his stomach tighten, the unpredictability of family making his heart race. Catherine stepped further inside, as if she were crossing an unseen threshold between the comfort of the known and the chaos of secrets. "You need to know the truth about Emily's will," she said, urgency lacing her tone. "There's more at stake than any of you realize." Tom's mind raced. The weight of her words hung heavy in the air. He could sense everyone in the room leaning in, their interest piqued by the implications implicating the legacy of a woman they all loved dearly. "What do you mean?" Blake demanded, stepping closer. "What aren't we being told?" Catherine held up a hand, as if trying to calm a storm. "Emily had her reasons for drafting her will the way she did. She wasn't just thinking about the money, she was trying to protect someone." A ripple of silence flowed through the group. Tom felt a rush of anxious feelings. He wondered if this was what Emily had intended all along, or if it opened a door to deeper wounds. "Someone?" Megan echoed, her voice a mixture of confusion and suspicion. "Who?" "The truth is you think you know who the primary beneficiary is, but there's another side to this. Someone Emily wanted to support, but kept hidden from everyone. You need to see the other documents." The word struck Tom like a physical blow. "What documents?" His heartbeat thudded in his chest. "What are you talking about?" Catherine reached into her bag, drawing out a manila folder. "I have copies of everything. You need to read this before you go into that meeting. If you don't, it could change everything about how you view Emily and why she made her choices." Tom's hands trembled as he took the folder, feeling the weight not only of the paper but of the revelations it might contain. He could see shadows of betrayal and loyalty dancing behind the eyes of everyone in the room. This was not merely about money, it was about legacy, truth, and the very fabric of their family. Linda's voice broke the tension lightly. "Can we trust you, Catherine?" she asked. "What's your angle in all this?" Catherine met Linda's gaze unflinchingly. "I want justice for Emily, just like you do. But you have to understand, there are layers to this. Layers you can't ignore." Tom's thoughts spiraled. The coffee in his mug felt cold now, devoid of its earlier comfort. He didn't want more layers. He wanted clarity. "Are you ready to uncover the truth?" Catherine pressed, looking straight at Tom. He swallowed hard, pondering the road before him. What truths were hidden? What had Emily known that she had chosen not to share? As he opened the folder, it felt like stepping into a new chapter, one full of uncertainty, choices, and revelations that would redefine everything they held dear. An icy gust of wind whispered through the doorway, almost as if nature itself were warning them about the storm that was coming. Tom could feel the dread bubbling beneath the surface, but he was also filled with an unsettling kind of resolve. He had to dig deeper, even if it led to painful revelations. As he began to read, he couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning and soon, they would have to confront whatever lay beyond the truth they'd never expected. Tom sat on the edge of the couch, heart racing as he flipped through the manila folder. Each page felt heavier than the last. Linda stood beside him, a mix of hope and fear etched on her face. She peered over his shoulder, the tension palpable. "What's in there?" she whispered, barely able to contain her anxiety. Catherine leaned against the wall, watching them closely. "It's everything. Emily's wishes, her intentions, and a part of her life you never knew. It changes everything, Tom." He took a deep breath, squaring his shoulders. "Let's just see," he murmured, trying to steady himself. As he read on, Tom's eyes widened. A different picture of Emily began to emerge, woven with complications and heartfelt intentions. There were not just beneficiaries but a web of connections, stories he had never heard and names he'd never known, bringing to light Emily's desire to support more than just the family. "Why didn't she ever tell us?" Linda's voice trembled, thick with emotion. Tom looked up, meeting Linda's worried gaze. "Maybe she didn't want to burden us with the weight of her choices. She wanted to protect someone." Catherine nodded. "Every decision she made was deliberate. It's why she set things up the way she did. There's merit in what she aimed to do. But it's also why you need allies for the meeting." As Chris, one of Emily's friends, stepped forward, determination radiated from him. "This is about more than just you guys. It's about protecting Emily's legacy. If these documents reveal someone important in her vision, we need to stand together." Tom could feel a surge of unity as Chris spoke, igniting a flame of hope among them. But also, a bubble of anxiety swelled within. What if they don't see it that way? What if they come to fight? Catherine waved her hand dismissively. "We face them head-on. With Emily's vision backing us, they could have little ground to stand on." Tom met Linda's anxious gaze again and squeezed her hand tightly. They could feel the weight of their grief and their responsibility converge. "We need to focus on what she really wanted, her goals for the community. If we present that clearly, maybe we can unite others behind her purpose," he resolved. As evening settled in, they gathered in their living room for one last strategizing session. Everyone was there, seated in a semicircle, eyes glistening with trepidation and anticipation. Blake broke the silence first. "Let's not forget the urgency of these upcoming meetings. We've got to prepare as best we can." "Agreed," Tom said, embracing the shared urgency in the room. "Catherine has shown us that there's more at stake than we thought. We must keep Emily's vision alive while being ready to confront whoever might oppose us." Megan chimed in, "What if we arrange our thoughts into a presentation? A way to honor Emily and outline her foundations." "Perfect," Linda smiled, the glimmer of determination returning to her eyes. "We can gather everyone's memories, her friends' stories, the documents, everything that shows how much she cared. We can show them this isn't about money, it's about legacy." The group rushed into action, organizing memories, piecing together snippets of Emily's passion for leadership and empowerment. Laughter weaved through their hard work, lightening the heavy atmosphere, reminding them why they were fighting in the first place. Later that night, as Tom lay in bed beside Linda, he felt a sense of clarity that had been missing for so long. "Whatever happens tomorrow," he whispered, "we're doing this for Emily." Linda turned towards him, her expression hopeful yet tired. "You're right. I feel her with us. Everything we do should honor what she loved." Tom smiled, a radiant warmth spreading in his chest. "Tomorrow will be tough, but we are ready. We have each other and we'll fight together." He drifted to sleep, the flickering embers of hope igniting dreams of Emily's vision coming to life, her laughter ringing out in every corner of their community. The break of dawn arrived with a bitter chill, urgency hanging in the air. At the meeting, tension crackled. They filed into the room, each breath heavy with determination. Tom glanced at Linda, and they shared a nod. There was no turning back. When the other beneficiaries arrived, shock painted their faces as they saw Tom and Linda standing united, flanked by Emily's friends, all wearing expressions that combined defiance and honor. "Let us begin," Tom said, his voice firm. "We're here to ensure that Emily's vision is heard and that her legacy remains intact. We must focus on what she truly wanted for the community. Blake interjected, this isn't just about you. We all have a stake in this. We owe it to Emily to work together. And as they shared stories, navigated the complicated aspects of Emily's will, and united around their common goal, Tom could feel the familiar warmth of hope enveloping him. In the end, it was not merely about the inheritance, it was about the life they would build in Emily's name, a testament to her spirit of compassion and resilience. The storm may have raged, but together they had found their way through it. Tom reached for Linda's hand, taking a deep breath. The future was uncertain, but as long as they stood united, they could face anything that came their way. Love, after all, was the strongest legacy of all, and that legacy would shine bright, guiding them toward the new chapter of their lives, a foundation to uplift others, a source of joy born from grief, and the enduring spirit of a daughter they would always cherish. Now, take a moment to reflect on this incredible story and the journey of love and resilience it portrayed. You need to subscribe now to never miss another impactful tale, as there are so many more to uncover together. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, letting our beautiful community grow stronger every day. Don't hold back. Comment your thoughts and feelings about this inspiring conclusion below, it truly matters. And share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformative journey. Let us spread the love and honor Emily's incredible vision.